This video is brought to you by my wonderful members and Super Chat sponsors. Click the join button to become a member. Imagine staring into a shadowy forest behind your home, knowing that something strange and unknown lurks within, just beyond your sight. A thing that seems to play a game of interdimensional hide and seek, beckoning you to enter the darkness. Tell me, friend, what would you do? Listen to this story and let me know. Hello, Mr. X. My name is Raphael. I was wondering if perhaps you knew what to make of a bizarre experience I've had. A little bit of background before I begin. Every year, my family spends a month or so at our summer home in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The house is pretty old. By the looks of it, I believe it used to be a hunting lodge. It lies fairly deep into a wooded area, with only a couple other homes spread out in a sparse, vaguely neighborhood-style layout. None of the houses seem to be occupied year-round. I'm guessing because they're all summer homes. So whenever we're out there, it's almost always perfectly quiet. Or at least, it used to be. A few years ago, I started noticing a strange sound coming from the woods surrounding the home. It took me a moment to grasp what I was actually hearing because it was so out of place. The more I listened, the more I realized it was the sound of laughter, echoing through the night air. The cackling was always highly exaggerated, like something you would hear from a ridiculously over-the-top villain in a movie. It was maniacal, totally uncontrolled. The sound seemed to get slightly louder, closer every time I heard it. Now, I want to clear something up. On very rare occasions, some of our distant neighbors happen to come to town around the same time as us. They are known to play loud music and throw parties in their houses, etc. Whatever this noise is, though, it doesn't seem like something any of the other residents would spend their vacation doing. At least, not unless they were completely out of their minds. The thought of someone going out into the woods, in the middle of the night, and just laughing at the top of their lungs for hours is chilling enough as it is. For a long time, I had no idea where the laughter came from. It would start abruptly, seemingly at random hours of the night, and end just as suddenly. Sometimes it would be fast, others slow. Sometimes it was deep and low-pitched, others it was shriekingly high. What made things even weirder was that sometimes I would try to investigate the area in the mornings after I heard the laughing. When I did so, I found dead animals, mainly rodents, rabbits, squirrels, things like that, around the woods. The carcasses would be fresh, with bright red blood, often seemingly partially eaten and tossed around haphazardly. This happened more than once. I eventually took up the practice of staring out into the woods to see what in the world was doing all that awful cackling. In retrospect, I wish I had just minded my own business. One evening, as twilight began to set in, darkening the sky, another fit of laughter bellowed out of the woods, cutting through the serene quiet of the night. Annoyed, I sat by a window, scanning the woods for any signs of movement. After a while, my eyes caught onto something that took me a second to make out. As soon as I noticed it, the laughter got much louder. Next to a tree, I saw part of an outline of something. It was like it was trying to hide itself. What I saw was a squat, hunched-over figure. It was about 4.5 feet tall, judging by the nearby trees. It had an unusually shaped head. It almost looked like a plague doctor mask with a large, beak-like protrusion. The head itself seemed to jut out of its chest, because it was so severely hunched over. Its eyes were large, tinted with a sickly pale yellow. It had human-looking arms, but they were extremely thin, like the limbs of someone long dead of starvation. It had absurdly long, twig-like fingers, with rounded fingertips. The most bizarre part, however, I noticed when my eyes naturally followed the shape down to where the legs would be. At that moment, I saw that from the lower abdomen on down, the creature's body appeared to fade away from existence. The best way I could describe it is the look of smudged ink on paper, the way it goes from solid to immaterial in a smooth stroke. That's what it looked like. I couldn't see anything resembling legs on it because the area was completely empty as far as I could see. Even stranger, the creature didn't seem to float. It definitely appeared to be standing there as if it indeed did have legs. As I stared at it, bewildered, the sound of laughter seemed to jump around, coming from different spots around the outside of the house. After a few moments, the creature turned away, and the rest of its body faded into that same nothingness. The laughing noise faded at the same time. I saw the creature once more under very similar circumstances, only it was near the lake instead of in front of trees. That happened to be the last time I visited the house. I want you to know before anyone asks that yes, I have tried to record the sound before, but each time all I can capture on the recordings is white noise. I do know my mom has heard it because it's woken her up several times at night. My brother and his girlfriend were out walking one afternoon when they told me they heard it as well. So no, it's not just in my head. If you or anyone else has any clue as to what this is, please let me know. I would very much appreciate the peace of mind. Sincerely, Raphael. Hey there my friends, Mr. X Dreams here. Unfortunately, although this story was originally sent to me about 4 years ago, I still have no idea what the creature described could be. In the intervening years, I haven't come across any similar encounters as of yet. However, what I do have is a brand new design that I created inspired by my interpretation of the laughing cryptid's appearance. If you go to mrxdreams.store, you'll find my merch shop. In there you may come across a whimsical design called the Laughing Cryptid Brewing Company. I'm super proud of the design, so I hope you check it out and consider picking up a shirt, a hoodie, mug, or even a pint glass. Yes, I do have those on there. As always, if you do grab anything from the shop, make sure you send me a photo of yourself using or wearing it, so I can include you in my upcoming merch owner tribute video. So, back to my comments on the story. When I tried researching cases of laughing cryptids, the first thing that would come up was a humanoid cryptid by the name of Ingrid Cold, also known as the Grinning Man. Super creepy. Needless to say, he didn't quite fit the description, being basically a man, of what we hear in this story, but it did make me want to talk more about some of the obscure cryptids that can be found online, so stay tuned for that. One thing I didn't say before was the very real discovery of dead animals near the area where the laughs came from. I would definitely imagine a predatory bird or an other animal that could be responsible for killing so many rodents, but why leave them to rot without consuming the prey? Another thing to think about. Oddly enough, I was looking through the comments section of the original video I posted with this story about 4 years ago. I did it as a collaboration with my old friend Mr. Davis, who you should definitely check out if you haven't already. So in the comments of that video, a listener by the name of Alana Tropeano mentioned that they'd grown up in the area of Cape Cod and that their family had experienced some sort of bizarre traumatic event there that was apparently somewhat similar to the account Raphael had described in his story. Alana said that hearing the story really got to her and that her heart was absolutely thumping as she typed the comment after listening. Another listener by the name of Miss Sam Hain mentioned that she once went to a summer camp on Cape Cod and heard a mysterious noise emanating from the trees at night that sounded like something laughing. She also said that the camp counselors insisted that the sounds were actually coming from a bird, but she was a little dubious of that idea. This all made me wonder, were the counselors right about that being some kind of strange bird, or were they hiding something? Were they really sure about the origins of the laughter? Or might there truly be a creature or entity in the woods there that is being kept a secret for some reason? Again, this is me with my quasi-tinfoil paranormal hat on. Always the funnest hat in my collection. Either way, I'm interested to know what you think about the story and its implications. A possible dimension-hopping, maniacally laughing being that hides in the woods behind your house. How would you imagine handling such a thing? Such a situation? Do you think this was a simple case of animal activity or even bizarre but mundane nature? Or was it something stranger? Do you think it's creepier to have an unknown cryptid in the woods or a deranged human being laughing maniacally in the darkness? I would definitely want to know what you think about that. Now, let's see what the dreamers listening live have to say. Remember, if you want to have your comments and questions become part of a future video, or get the chance to sponsor a video series, make sure you have notifications on so you can be a part of the live readings. That's where I get all these great bits of input from my audience and put them right into the finished video. Also, if you send a super chat during the stream, you're automatically listed as the sponsor for that video when it comes out. So let's check out what the dreamers have to say. So, Sleepy says, I've never heard someone describe a cryptid like that. There's so much out there that has yet to be discovered or even seen. I absolutely agree, and that's the way that I like to approach these types of things. Just because it sounds crazy or weird or impossible absolutely does not mean that it is that. It may indeed be something that we just don't know. I mean, imagine that. We have to be humble when we're talking about some of this stuff. I mean, when we choose to suspend our disbelief and just sort of have fun and play around with these stories, that's one thing, but at the same time, things that have been thought to be impossible have been proven otherwise before, and they will again. So, let's just all keep that in mind when we form our opinions. Julie says, Elemental, Redcap, Rumpelstiltskin sounds like possibly a forest elemental or a guardian of the forest. They tend to be very jealous of their domain. They'll attack any intruder. I can't say I've done too much research into the idea of forest elementals or any type of elementals, but I really probably should. LOA Blue says, one time years ago I was at work alone and suddenly heard laughing out of nowhere, didn't see anything. I can only imagine how creepy that is because I've worked late at night alone in the past, and freaking A, let me tell you, if I heard laughing in my area anywhere, I would have freaked out. It's just, you're already on edge, and you know that if something happens, you're pretty much screwed because you're by yourself. Yeah, that's a no-go for me. Jessica Bullock just became a writer. Awesome, my friend. Thank you very much, and welcome to Mr. X Dreams channel membership. Enjoy that clean white skull, and anxiously await for it to turn blood red as it evolves into its final form. You'll see. Flip It Productions says, what a strange creature. Makes me think it stepped out of an evil wonderland. The whimsical nature of this creature definitely screams Wonderland or some other fantasy-like thing to me. That's part of the reason why I made the wacky-looking design that I did for the merch line and for the emojis in Discord. A lot of you Discord users have already seen this because I previewed it, but it originally started as kind of like a shoulders-up design of that cryptid head and the hands kind of just cackling. But then I expanded it into a full body. It's pretty fun. I'm super proud of it. Again, go check out mrxdreams.store. You'll see what I mean. Samantha says, a happy fae type creature. Again, fae. I keep saying this every other week. I seem to say this and I never do it, so I apologize. But I need to look into the fae and be a little bit more read up on that. I do acknowledge that, and I will get to it, I promise, at some point. Zucker says, the way it was described, it simply couldn't be an animal. Yeah, I don't know of any animal that looks like a plague doctor. Unless it's some type of huge bird, but he said it had arms, like long emaciated arms, with long spindly fingers, which to me, disqualifies any unless it's some kind of weird sick bird that has huge wings but lost all of its feathers. I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. Reed says, here comes another tulpa comment, LOL. I always welcome those, of course. The creature sounds sort of like an art piece that was brought into reality, with the description of the legs fading into this inky type substance. And it's also interesting, Reed says, that something would be cackling out in the woods so carelessly and leaving partially eaten corpses strewn around without care. Perhaps it knew that it could easily top the food chain wherever it goes. Imagine that, like having the power to just go to any location you want and know that nothing's going to be able to harm you or get in your way of what you want to do. That must be a really empowering feeling, and I would imagine if that creature is that powerful or that adept or skilled at whatever it does in life, that must be very liberating for it, and maybe that's the reason why it's laughing so much. I don't know. So finally, Tariko says, it's strange how its legs couldn't be seen, but it still seemed to have them. Could it be a type of cloaking or camouflage? See, this is the type of comment I like to see. Possibly the most. Ones that look at something in a little bit different way that changes the game. That's why I saved this one for last. Excellent work, Tariko. Cloaking. It could be that it's sort of passing from one dimension into the next, but the fact that it's standing there does seem to indicate that perhaps the legs were just invisible. It was partially cloaked for whatever reason. Who knows why? Maybe because it doesn't care, because it knows that nobody could really mess with it anyway. It'll just blink out of existence and show up somewhere else. And it was kind of flexing its abilities a little bit by bouncing its laughing all over the place as well. So, goodness gracious, excellent point. So, that's all for this video, my friends. Thanks for listening. Now, I want you to go out and be the best human being you could possibly be. Leave tomorrow's world better than you found it today. But before we go, I'm going to stop by the Dreamers Listening Live one more time and see if we can't come up with a really good code word. So, Dreamer Listening Live, Samantha says, giggles, the epic code word, giggles. Very on point for this episode. If you're still listening to this part of the video, type the word giggles in your comment. Be creative, impress me, surprise me. You know how I like that. And work that into your comment down below so I can see you. Until next time, my friends, take care. All right. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, don't forget to like and share. If you made it to the very end, you're exactly the kind of subscriber I'm looking for. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. That way, you can catch the live show and discuss the stories with me. Your input might even appear in my next video. Last thing, if you heard a code word after the story, type it in a comment down below so I know who the real dreamers are. Take care, my friend. Until next time.